This is Brian Giunta, and you're watching Moneyball.
Andrews to Savage, shooting the goal! Spartans creating some chaos, and Tiernan Chowdy ties it up. Gordon and Fisher both going down on the boards. Andrews just tapping that one forward, Basil to Russell. Russell firing a shot, and happy birthday!
What's up, everybody? This is D Money. Welcome to another edition of the Moneyball channel. It's my pleasure this evening to have Nicklas Andrews. Nicklas is a defenseman for the #1 Michigan State Spartans. How's that feel when I say that?
Man, it never gets old, that's for sure.
You guys are on a heck of a run, man. You know, you bounced, I think, from 6 to 1, and you guys are just, I mean, you're on quite a streak. What would you say? I mean, what's going on right now with the chemistry or the gel? Like, I mean, everything seems to be working for you guys. What do you attest that to?
I mean, I really think it just has to do with kind of the belief in the team. Like, you look through the first bit of the season so far, and I'd say like we hadn't had a ton of adversity until the last couple weekends, but then you look at the Wisconsin weekend, we're down in that Saturday game, come back and win that one. We were down, I believe, in both Minnesota games at one point this past weekend.
Certainly
come
were.
back and win in those games. So I just think it takes a special belief, especially against those kind of teams when you're down, and I think that really proved a lot to the team as of late. So it'll be cool to see where the rest of the season takes us.
I'm excited to follow it, man. You guys have a really good core group of guys. I was talking this afternoon to a guy who I really trust with hockey stuff. He's a travel coach with Buffalo team, and he's a kind of a college hockey nut. And he brought up to me, shout out to Tim, by the way, Timmy Lawford, shout out Tim. And he said, you should ask him if when he saw this team on paper, if he knew how good they were going to be. You have the type of team that maybe doesn't stand out with superstars, right? Or a ton of European. You just have a really good core group of guys. How's that locker room, man? You guys just have a great energy in that locker room?
Yeah, it's been awesome to be a part of. Just everyone brings their own energy, which is nice. It's not like you only have a couple guys doing it. We all get along really well, so it's fun to come to the rink, and you have to have that atmosphere and environment that's fun, because once it's not fun anymore, it becomes a job, and it's just not the same. So it was cool to obviously come here this year and be a part of this team. I didn't really know what to expect, because obviously they were a pretty good team last year before I got here. So obviously you want to repeat some of that success, but you're just not sure. But I think we've done a pretty good job of that so far.
Heck yeah, I think that's a good way to word it for sure. Now, for anyone who doesn't know Nicklas Andrews, where did you come from? Was it a transfer portal situation where, I mean, I know, but please tell the people, because I was fortunate enough to meet your dad. But where are you from? How did it start for you?
So I'm from Canton, Michigan. Grew up playing around here, whole youth career. I had played a half a season in the North American League for the Brookings Blizzard, who are now relocated and are now the St. Cloud Norsemen. Finished the rest of that year with the Des Moines Buccaneers. Played one more full year after that there, and then went to Colorado College. Played 4 years there, and then for my 5th year, I decided to transfer to Michigan State. I had the 5th year from COVID, so it was kind of a decision that I made with my family and my advisors and everyone, and just kind of decided that I wanted to use that 5th year. Ended up deciding that I wanted to try somewhere else. And when Michigan State called, it was kind of a dream come true to play for a Division I college in your home state. So I've been extremely fortunate and grateful for that. And that's kind of where it's led me now.
I mean, you're very well spoken, and I can see on your face, the excitement. And I'm one of these guys who always talks about how the universe, all the chips fall into place. And you can't help but echo that sentiment when it's something like you just said, right? And listen, you didn't just end up at Colorado. I mean, you had a full ride, man. They knew what they had in a hockey player. Yeah. So you didn't trip and fall on Colorado, right? But then, for you to actually say, okay, 4 years at Colorado, I think you needed a reboot. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, no, I think so. And not to say that Colorado wasn't great, because it was awesome. They were really good to me. Super grateful that they gave me the chance to play hockey there. Yeah, I just think a change of scenery and a little different exposure, I think, is another is another key point. So that was kind of a deciding factor, and yeah, it's been a really good decision so far.
Was it tough leaving the boys, man? I mean, how do you do that? How was that conversation in the locker room?
No, it was definitely one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make, hockey or non-hockey. It
Yeah.
was a really tough decision.
It's a
Um,
brotherhood, right? I mean, you got a brotherhood at that
oh
point.
yeah, it's you make some of your best friends playing hockey no matter what level you're at. So I mean, I got to spend 4 years with some of my friends there. So it was a really hard decision, but just something that I felt like it was time that I had to just think about myself for a minute and try not to let that stuff affect me. But obviously, those are some of my best friends there, so it was hard.
I would hope this answer would be no, but was there any animosity or anyone that was mad for you going?
No, no, there definitely wasn't. And I think part of it is just because of how close our team in Colorado was. We were all really, really good friends. So I think they kind of understood it, which was nice, and not to have too much pushback. But yeah, there wasn't too much,
I mean, it's cool,
not too
right?
much.
Well, it because it helps, when you're going to make a decision like that, man. I have an opinion where I think your career is going to go, right? And others may have whatever their opinion is, but are rolling the dice. When you say, "Okay, I'm going to go do this." So you could say, "Okay, listen, is it worth it? Am I going to jeopardize these relationships that I've worked so hard to build and like brothers to me?" So it's maybe just a thought. I don't know if it crossed your mind or not, but I'm glad to hear that it didn't. And that means they are true friends because any true friend is going to look out for your success. It sounds like it worked
Yeah.
out well for you, Nick. So that's really cool. So I guess going back to the initial question though, when you went over to Michigan State, you got a chance, I guess, to see who was rostered, correct?
hmm
And what
Yep.
were you
Yep.
ready?
And yeah, so I mean, I got to see the roster. I knew a few guys on the team. Like I grew up playing with Joey Larson, Tiernan Shouty,
How
played
cool is
against him.
that? Let me pause you real quick. How cool is that? Grew up playing with,
It's
right?
awesome.
Because you didn't
Yeah,
have that at
no,
Colorado. Colorado is a lot of transplants and stuff. So, I mean, that's
yeah,
really cool, because you're in your home state now and you're and like, man, hey, how you been the last few years? And did you guys play
right.
travel, growing up playing travel together and stuff?
Yeah, yeah, we both played Caesars growing up. Or
That's
all three of us
that's
did.
so
So
cool.
at
Yeah.
different times with Larson and Shouty, but yeah, both were at Caesars, and yeah, it was we were good. Both of us were good friends back in the day, so it was cool to kind of come back together and say, hey, man, how's it been?
That's a great story, man. That really it's heartwarming, because it's reunited and it feels so good. You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's when I cue
Yeah,
it.
it's pretty cool.
How's
Perfect.
my boy Geary doing?
He's good, man. Yeah, he's doing really good. He's had a
Yeah.
great year. Um, yeah, he's good.
So
Yeah, same town, right?
same hometown. And yeah, I had the opportunity, he's been on the show. This area, similar to that of Michigan, right? We get these long, cold winters, and, people I don't think understand. They think like, oh, Canada, Canada, Canada. Your climate, my climate, it's Canada. You know what I'm saying? It is. It's Canada. And hockey's huge here. I mean, no, Detroit is hockey town and everything else, but I hope you've been to other Sabres games because that was a very, very poor representation of our crowd and our fans. But this
Yeah.
is definitely a hockey town as well, right? And I think we're just kind of fed up with losing. We haven't made the playoffs in a long time, And Detroit, you're kind of in that same boat, right? I mean, what's going on with these hockey teams? Like these are the hockey towns. What's up, man? Like, what's your take on what's going on with Buffalo and Detroit? Let's just go with that.
That's an interesting one. I think there's definitely two perspectives to it. Like you look at Detroit and you're like, all right, they were so good for so long. You're like, all right, it's inevitable that a team's gonna have to go through a rebuild, and it sucks to have to think about and accept, but it's like, all right, it's got to happen when you're
Been
that
a
good that
while though.
long.
It's a long rebuild.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, all right, Stevie Y came in and he had this grand plan, and I think a lot of people backed him. I think a lot of people still do. Like you see the way he built Tampa, and obviously
Yeah,
he's their success.
right.
Um, so I think he has definitely more of a calculated approach to it, and I definitely have less of a background or history on the Sabres, but it seems like they just need something to get over that hump. Like obviously they got a ton of young talent there right now. So like I don't know if it's maybe they need a little bit of veteran leadership. I know they have a few guys there, but yeah, I'm not as familiar with their situation, but I think it's just going to take the right group of guys to really buy in and say, hey, this enough's enough. This has got to change.
You made a good point with the young talent, and I feel like Detroit's in that same boat. I truly do. I feel like,
Yeah.
the young guys, the Larkins, the these guys, like, and then we have Tage and then Zach Benson, some really young guys, right? I mean, Owen Power was actually nationally called out by Wayne Gretzky the other day after a game for a bad play. So he made a bad
Right.
play. It resulted in a goal. He sat for a period. Now this is Owen Power, and it's to me it's like, man, this guy, he's not used to being told sit down, you're on the bench, right? And Ruff benched him, and he was called out publicly and by Wayne Gretzky. That same game, he ended up scoring a goal to tie the game. So like, you guys have such a what have you done for me lately position, right? And you're a defenseman
Mhm.
like Power, and you guys aren't, you're not a huge goal scoring defenseman. You're more of a stay at home, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Yep.
And I envy that, man, because it's tough sometimes you got to be a real confident person and a humble confident person to not always get that glory, right? Even Geary, man, he had that shot last year at the end for
Mhm.
them,
That was
right? That
awesome.
was that so he got his fame there. But like, I noticed with you, man, a
Yeah.
plus 13, and those are the things that stand out to me. Like, I see a plus 13 and I see a grinder. I see a good player. I see someone I'd want on my roster. Have teams reached out, and kind of what's the process at this point?
Are you saying like after college?
Yes. Or even now, are they allowed
Um,
to reach out now? Or like, I mean, I know you can get signed prior to, but can they
yeah.
during as well? Like, how's the whole process work?
So I'm not 100% sure about what the rules are about them talking to us like during the season. I know a lot of that stuff happens after the season, so it's not really something on the front of my mind right now. But I know there was a few East Coast teams that reached out at the end of last year that really wanted me. So like that was really cool to know that there are teams out there that want me. So again, it's not something I'm really trying to think about right now,
Yeah, yeah,
just
that
because
makes
we have
sense.
such a special group. But
Yeah.
I'm not super familiar with when teams can reach out and when they can't. I just know that a lot of it happens at the end of the year.
This is why there's editing. Sometimes I don't like my own questions. So this is
Yeah.
why editing. I might yank that one out there. But, and I guess I'm kind of crossing conversations because when I spoke with your dad, he said, he thinks that you have a good chance. And I think you do too, just from what I've seen, right? But I love that you're
Mhm.
not focused on that. You're focused on this season. You're focused on Michigan State. Where do we go from here? And dude, I envy that. I respect the heck out of that because I've asked that question, and
Mhm.
they're like, "Oh yeah, I think I'm going to get a call from this," and optimism's great, right? But to stay
Yeah.
humble, truly focused on this year. So let's talk about that. Tell me more about this season. I mean, I could sit and talk to you all day about hockey and the season you guys are having. And we've talked about the locker room
Yeah.
energy and everything else. Your coach, what's his main motivation with you guys? Is he a tough coach? Is he a grinder? Is he a hard nose? How does he coach you guys?
I'd say the best way to describe it is he gives respect and that's what he expects back. Like he's definitely not one to yell too much and just beat guys down. He's more of an optimistic guy, and focus on what we can do next, which is definitely different than what I'm used to. A lot of the coaches in the past have been different and good in their own ways. But Adam Nightingale he's been awesome. He's very personable. I think that's another good way to put it. Is like he cares and he's very genuine about everything he says and does. And he's going to be the first one to ask you, "Hey, how's school going? How are your classes going? Or how's life outside the rink?" Like you can tell he genuinely cares. And I think a lot of times guys will pick up on that and see that, wow, he's given me that respect. Like I don't want to take advantage of this. So it's been a different approach than what I'm used to, but I think he's been awesome. And obviously you can see that guys respond well to it with the way we're playing right now.
So I'm going to go right into it. Yesterday, I had a situation, right? My 11-year-old's a travel hockey player. We were in Brockport. They were out on the ice, and this team is the type of team that when the energy and things are going well, everybody's, in a great mood, and it seems like as soon as things aren't, and they're 11 years old, right? I mean, this is 11-year
Yeah.
old travel hockey. But how were your coaches? Is there some that were real memorable growing up, in a certain way that you liked to be coached? And is there any that you were just like, man, now that you're a little bit older, you can look back and say that was not the right way to do it?
Yeah, no, I've had probably just about every type of coach you can have. Like the very first travel coach I had, just the whole coaching staff. There were a few dads of kids on the team,
Sure.
and man, they would just always yell at us and we bag skated all the time. And as weird as it sounds, we were only like probably 9 years old, but it worked. Like we were not a very skilled team. We definitely weren't supposed to win states, but we ended up pulling it off. So I think it's once you see that each kind of or each type of coaching works, you develop respect for it. So like now if I other coaches that I've had since then, and if they're more yellers, I think it's like, all right, like they're not doing it because they hate us. Like there's a reason behind it, and obviously I've seen it work before. So sometimes I think it takes experience of players to go through tough situations like that and be yelled at and not just be like, hey, great play when maybe it wasn't such a great play or a great game when you know it wasn't. So I've definitely had coaches like that and had some more lenient coaches. And I think for more lenient coaches, I think you just have to direct everything in the right way. Like I think Nighty does a really good job of like you can tell how genuine he is. Like you can't just be lenient and not really have not hold a certain standard. Like he does a great job in doing that. So there's definitely different ways to get the job done, and each person will have their own style.
It's a great take, dude. I think, with Nighty, it sounds like he's empathetic. It sounds like he can relate with you guys. It sounds like he truly cares. So he's asking questions not because he has to, but because he wants to, right? And I think,
Exactly.
and I think that's very noticeable and it stands out. And it says a lot about not only coaching, but someone's character. Because after the season's over and everybody goes their different ways, regardless of where they end up, that sounds like somebody who's going to follow up with you and be like, hey, man, how's everything going? It's not fake. Like he's wearing it.
Exactly.
What you see is what you get with a dude like that. And those are the guys I respect as well. Hockey, youth hockey, and guys like Brian Gianta I've had on that have talked about kind of the elitist, type of travel hockey. It's become a little bit hard to watch. Now that I'm going through it as a dad, it's tough.
Mhm.
And I'm finally at the point learning that you got to take a step back. If you're not that hands-on, you're not behind the bench, you need to take a step back. And you made a good point earlier. You said a few dads that were involved and on the team and stuff like that, right? And daddy ball, daddy hockey, whatever it is, it just doesn't work. So I think, it's a tough gig. And I feel like there's too much pressure on these young kids too.
It's a lot about what you have to offer experience wise and your brain for the game because it's the biggest thing moving forward. Everyone's skilled, everyone can skate, everyone can
Right.
stick handle and shoot, but you have to be able to think the game at a very fast pace. So I
Yeah.
think that's a huge piece of it.
And is that, in your opinion, the biggest kind of difference, as you get to each next level, whether it's juniors, college, and hopefully, for you, the path continues? The speed is what I hear, is the biggest difference. That's in any NFL guys will make that reference, and any baseball guys will make that just the speed. It's like you've been in this, and all of a sudden it's like, boom, man, it just hits you. And now these are all the absolute best of the best. So at each level, do you notice the speed is just much more?
I think this might sound weird too. I think it becomes faster, definitely. Guys are faster, the puck moves quicker. But what I've noticed too, like especially through junior hockey, and going from the North American League to the USHL and then to college, is the guys are so much smarter that it almost becomes a little bit easier because you're like, all right, you're getting a puck down. You might have a little bit of time, a little less time, sorry, but the play you're looking for, that guy's already in that spot. You're not
Yeah,
waiting for
yeah,
him to
yeah, yeah, that
maybe
makes
still
sense.
get there.
How many guys do you have on the roster right now that were drafted? Do you know offhand?
I don't know offhand. If I had to take a guess, probably somewhere around maybe eight,
Yeah,
eight or so.
yeah. I think your
Yeah, we got
goaltender is local guy, a Red Wing, wasn't it? I think that's what your dad had mentioned.
yeah, yeah. He's a Michigan kid, got drafted by Detroit. That's pretty awesome.
It's funny how that works out, man.
I had a little cousin that plays hockey out in California. He's 11, or one of his teammates is 11, and they're huge Michigan State hockey fans. And I had sent the kid a signed puck once
Yeah.
I heard that and everything, and I was talking to his dad, and he was like yeah, he definitely wants to play college hockey, and had almost had everything laid out, which was really cool to hear because like I didn't have too many people like that to look up to. So
Right.
like to hear stuff that you have people that you look up to and dream that you want to follow is really cool to hear.
Who were your favorite players growing up and watching? I mean, you're named after the great Nicklas Lidstrom, if I'm not mistaken, right?
He was by far my favorite.
Smart
Actually,
man, smart man.
my dad and grandfather were both goalies, and they still play to this day. But he
Dude, he
wouldn't let
told me
me.
about, hold on. He told me about your grandpa playing. He said he still gets out there and plays with some young kids.
Yeah, no, they both still play. My dad doesn't play goalie anymore because he's had a few knee surgeries. But yeah, he was a
Is your
goalkeeper. Yeah, yeah, he still plays.
what? Whoa, how old is he?
Man, he's got to be 75.
That is unbelievable, man. That story in its own right. I almost need to have him on just to hear his side of things. I mean,
Yeah,
he's seen and done a lot, and still to be, to be that agile, getting up and down, man, at that age is crazy. Is crazy.
yeah, yeah. I think it's so cool when people can still play as long as they want. Like I joke around with my buddies, like, I'll never stop playing. It doesn't matter when I'm done playing competitively. Like I just don't ever see myself hanging up the skates.
You're
Not until the game says no.
Yeah, man, you love the game, and like I said, I could see it in your face. I can sense it in your words. You love the game, man. I absolutely
Yeah.
wish you the best, man. And I think, like I said, I always have gut feeling and intuitions about things, and your character, is something that's going to lead you a long way, man. And I mean that sincerely, raised the right way and just kind of even speaking the way that you speak and staying humble. Staying humble, I
Yeah.
would say, confident but not cocky and cliche stuff, but it's true, gritty and that type of play. So, we'll see where it goes. But I think this Michigan State team, man, is going to turn a lot of heads and sky's the limit, man. You guys just need to keep plugging away. Let's get into a couple of fun questions here. What music are you listening to? What do you have in right now?
I'm a big rock and roll guy, so a lot of
Okay.
80s and 90s
Nice.
things.
All right, well, come on, dig in a little deeper, man. Give me an example. What do you like? Def Leppard, Megadeth? What are we talking?
Motley Crue is number one.
Nice.
Just about everything. Van Halen, Poison, Def Leppard's got some all-time hits. I've actually been on a Nickelback kick lately. I like a
Underrated.
lot of their,
Yeah,
yeah,
what's the deal? Everybody picking on Nickelback. Listen, I think they're a good band. Me and my wife were talking about this. We're like, what's wrong with this song? What's wrong with this song? There's a whole thing on now. I think it's Netflix or one of those. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's like why everyone hates Nickelback. It's a whole documentary on it.
yeah. And I had no idea. Like I had heard like as a running joke, you either love or you hate Nickelback. But like I didn't really know much about it. I ended up watching that documentary on Netflix, and it was like, man, like I can't believe this many people dislike Nickelback. Like for
I
what
don't
reason? Like
I don't get it. I really don't get it.
weird. Like
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like a lot of these older rock bands, like they got into a lot of trouble. So like if that was your reasoning for disliking them, I was like, all right, maybe that's a little more fair. But I think they were a little more tame.
People just say they like get annoyed by the lead singer or whatever. I don't know. That would be a whole nother show on Nickelback. So you've been
Yeah.
around quite a bit, man. You've tried all the different styles of pizza. Detroit's got its own deep dish. It's almost like a what is it? What do you guys call that there, man? It's not a Chicago deep dish, but it's like in a pan or something, right?
Yeah, so I don't know too much about it. Like deep dish to me is deep dish. I don't really know the difference too much between Chicago style. I think Chicago style is the sauce on top.
Chicago style, no. Well, it can be, but the Chicago style is just so deep dish. It's almost like a pot pie, right? And I've
Mm.
noticed your Detroit styles, from what I understand, they come in like a tin, like a baking kind of tin, right? And it's a little more
Yeah.
spongier.
Yeah, no, I mean I think it's something you just gotta try. Like I think deep dish is probably the best. Detroit style deep dish is the best, but I mean maybe I'm just a little biased because that's what I get most often. Yeah, if you ever come to Michigan, Jets deep dish, or if you can
Shout out
find
Jets. Look at
a
that.
yeah, if you can find a Guido's pizza, that's another good one. Or Buddy's is kind of what Michigan's known for.
Well, hopefully you're back in Buffalo. Buffalo, we with the new Harbor Center and some other things, what they hosted the World Juniors and all that stuff, man. It's become a really good, like I said, a real good hockey, hotbed, and I hope it continues to be that way, man. Next time you're ever in Buffalo, by all means, call me. I'll take you out and we'll get some pizza and wings, and I'll show you the actual good spots because some people are very jaded by what they think the best spots are. I'm dead serious. We're gonna do it. What's your nickname with the guys in the locker room? I know how you hockey guys, man. You got your own vocabulary. What's your nickname?
Usually I just go by Nicky. And that's kind of just been a common one throughout all the different teams.
Okay.
Usually it's kind of you see the name and that's kind of the first thing you think about even before I get introduced. So that's kind of just a general one. I mean, there's some other good ones on the team, but Isaac Howard, he likes to go by Iceman. He might have given that one to himself, which kind of makes it even funny. Who else we got? Hmm.
Does Geary have a nickname yet?
He's just Gears. Everyone calls him Gears, which is kind of cool. It's
Yeah, yeah,
pretty
yeah.
cool name.
Yeah, I agree. I like it.
Yeah, our goalie Trey goes by Trazer sometimes. That one's kind of cool. Um,
There's an old movie called Howard the Duck, which you're probably too young to know what it is. But that
mhm,
would be perfect for Howard if you want to rename him. You can go back and watch this
yeah,
movie. It's one of those corny 80 movies where a duck like comes to life, and Howard the
yeah,
Duck would be rock solid. That's my recommendation.
yeah. Howard the Duck.
Howard the
Yeah,
Duck.
I mean, I'd like to call him anything but Iceman.
He's Howard the Duck now. See how receptive he is to that. This was a lot of fun though, man, and I'm dead serious. You're ever in Buffalo, we will be, keeping in touch. I wish you all the best, man. Thanks for taking some time with me here, and all the best, bro.
Sweet. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. And yeah, I'll let you know if I'm ever in town. We can go grab some food and catch
Sure.
up.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Thanks again, bro. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me on.
Take care.